Hey guys, this is Ram from YRRHELP and this is my first video tutorial on Oracle PLSQL series, and in this video I'm going to go through basic introduction of PLSQL. And as you can see here, PLSQL is nothing but basic SQL along with the features of programming language. And when I say programming language, I mean features like conditioning, looping, and exception handling, and etc. And there are so many things you can do in PLSQL, and in this my entire video tutorials I'm going to show you each and everything. And in this video I'm going to focus on something called block. So block is nothing but a basic unit in your PLSQL program. So a block is nothing but a single entity. As I said, if you see here, this is my normal SQL statement. So this is my single entity here, we call it as statements. So just like that, you have something called block in your PLSQL. So this is my entire block, and if you can notice here, every block will consist of three sections. One is declaration section. So a declaration section is where I declare all my variables, constants, records, cursors, etc. and etc. So don't worry about all these records and cursors things. I'm going to explain this in separate tutorial. And as you can see, this is my execution block. So this is where I write my entire programming language, programming logics, and like any conditioning statements, if statements, and any SQL statements I have. And this is like my core of my entire programming blocks. And the third one is obviously exception. So in case if anything goes wrong in execution section, this exception block is going to take it up, and instead of aborting the program, it's going to handle it in such a way you defined. So these are my three basic sections, and the thing is that among three, only execution block is mandatory and declare and exception is not mandatory. If you want, you can skip that. So I'm going to skip exception block here. Why? Because I'm going to take a separate section for exception, and just to avoid confusion, I'm not including that in this tutorial. So I have two sections here. One is declare and begin. And as I said before, in declare, I'm just going to declare my variables, records, etc. and etc. So let me just quickly create a simple variable. Let's say student ID. I'm going to give data type as a number for this one. So this is how you declare a variable. It's very simple. It's just the variable name and its data type. So I'm going to create another variable. Let's say first name. I'm going to give it as varchar, and I'm just going to create another variable marks. And cool thing is that you have a boolean data type also. If you want, you can use a boolean. PLSQL supports boolean also. So I have three variables here: student ID, first name, and marks. And how do you define constants? It's very simple. All you have to do is you just have to add constant identifier. So I'm going to create another variable, let's say pass mark, and I'm going to name it as constant. And the thing is that whenever you're making a variable as constant, you must and should assign a variable to it. And in PLSQL, you assign a value to a variable using colon and equals operator. So this is how you assign a value. It's quite different from your normal programming languages. So in your programming languages, it might be something called equals, but here it's actually colon and equals. So don't confuse with it. So I'm going to quickly assign a pass mark as 50. So now what I have done is I have just declared three normal variables with respect to data types, and I have declared constant variable, and I have assigned a value to it. So thing is, you can assign values in execution block also. So I'm just going to quickly take this ID, and I'm going to assign, let's say 12. Okay, let me just quickly print this to console. So in PLSQL, you have something called dbms output.put line. So this function, what it does is it's going to write whatever the parameter it has, and it will write to console. So let me just quickly say hello world. So I'm going to run this program here, and as you can see it says PL/SQL program completed successfully, and at the bottom it said hello world, so which is what I printed here. So this is just like your print statement in your normal programming language, and in case this hello world is not visible to you, you have to use something called set server output on. So in case if this message is not visible, you have to use this statement set server output on. And let me just quickly add student ID to my output. So how do I append this value? So all I have to do is I have to use concatenation operator here. It's actually 2 pipelines, and I'm just going to add my ID. So as you can see, I have actually printed my ID here. So hello world 12 is my ID. So before actually ending this video, I'm going to explain something called into. So what is the purpose of into is that now you have directly initialized your value as 12, but most of the time when you are writing your programming blocks, you might want to fetch value from tables or views. So how do you do that? You do that using into operator. So let's say for example, I have a table here, student table, and in that I have ID and I have name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch name for this customer, sorry, for this ID. So this is the name for this ID, and I'm going to store it in my first name variable. So it's very simple, guys. All you have to do is select. So actually this is the straight query, select name into first name. So what I have done is very simple, guys. I have selected name from so and so table, and I am storing the value in first name variable. It's very simple. So instead of directly hard coding my value, what I can do is I can pass this variable here. So it's very simple, guys. I'm passing one value to a ID, and I'm returning name, and I'm storing it in first name. So let me just quickly append it to console. And as I said before, double pipeline is your concatenation operator. So I'm just going to add my first name here. It's pretty simple, guys. There's no rock logic in it. So I'm just going to run it. So as you can see, it actually printed hello world 12 on my ROM and my name. So instead, if I pass, let's say 14, it should return YRR. Let me try that once. So I'm passing ID as 14. It should fetch me YRR. So it fetched me YRR. And one thing is that suppose if you don't have where condition here, so let me just try to run this same block without this where condition. So it will throw me error. So as you can see here, it says exact fetch returns more than requested number of rows. So what it means is that, so if you try to remove this where condition, it might return 2 or 3 rows based on number of records in your table. So if it fetches more than one record, your variable here, it cannot store more than one entity. This is a scalar entity, so it cannot hold more than 2 or 3 rows or more than 2 or 3 entities. So it will throw error. So whenever you are using into a single variable, I mean single scalar variable, you make sure that it returns only one row or one entity. So in further videos, I'll show you how to use complex data types to store full table structure into your single data type. So I'm gonna tell that in another tutorial. For now time being, make sure you use this where condition to return only single entity. Yeah, I got my result, and at the same time I'm just going to fetch another variable that's marks from my student table. and I'm going to store into my marks variable here. So it's very simple guys, just like that. Take this marks and pass it into marks. So it's very simple guys, it's very straightforward. What you're trying to do is selecting name and marks from so and so table, and then you are trying to store in PLSQL variables, and then you are printing here. So let me just replace a marks with first name. Yeah, there you go. I got 80 marks here, so which is actually 80 for the ID I have specified. So let me just quickly pass 12 and let's see what's the result. Yep. So this is very basic simple tutorial guys. So for now we have just used a very simple level into statement, and we have fetched data from a table, and then we have stored in our variables. So thanks for viewing guys. In my next video I'm going to take up on records, which is a complex data type, and I'm going to demonstrate on that. Thanks for viewing. Don't forget to subscribe us.